Good evening, Brownsville educators, AOBE members, and Brownsville community. This is Veronica Borrego, your AOBE president. Here next to me, I have our beautiful Ida, our TSTA staff. Say hi, Miss
Hi.
Ida.
Hi, I'm Ida. Thank you.
And then today we have Mr. Frankie Olivo, AOBE's endorsed candidate for place 2. I want to apologize because Molly is a little bit rowdy tonight, so she might be barking a little before you hear her, just in case. She's not disagreeing with anything. She's just a little bit rowdy today. So
She's rowdy about the soft opening.
That's what it is, because she knows Mama has to go back to school. She ain't happy. So we're going to be talking about the soft opening this evening, sorry. And then we will be discussing different topics with Mr. Olivo. And of course, opening up any questions, appropriate and non-disrespectful questions to our candidate so that we can get to know him a little bit better. All right. Ida, do you want to go ahead and start with the soft opening? And there she goes.
Well, we can start off with the governor's press release.
All right. Let me get that up on the screen.
And get a conversation going on that and see how Mr. Frankie Olivo, what input he has and how he feels about those announcements today. Thought that was kind of interesting to know, and I'm hoping our superintendent was paying attention to his press conference, because I thought it was pretty clear on some of the things that Brownsville ISD needs to be doing and it needs to take into consideration.
It is very telling. It's very telling of where we stand as a community. And, it's hard to understand or comprehend how this information is not being taken into consideration. So let's go ahead and move into it. So,
Frankie, did you get a chance to see the press conference?
Yes. First and foremost, good evening, ladies. Hello, world. Thank you for tonight's invite. It's always a pleasure to be amongst y'all. But most importantly, discussing on the topics and issues that matter so much to our community. Yes, I did get a chance to hear the governor's press conference this afternoon, and it's very telling. You would think that our district would be in constant communication with Austin, with leadership in Austin, since we are bound to have our soft opening back on Monday for our teachers and on the 28th for our students. So it is very telling what the governor had to say. It was very, very weird, in my opinion, to have leadership in Austin telling us that it is pretty bad in our area. And we have yet to hear from our superintendent regarding if there's going to be any modifications in regards to this soft opening. So it's going to be very, very telling to see the district's approach moving forward after the governor's press conference this afternoon.
Absolutely. I was shocked to hear some of the things that they covered there. And here we are days away from everybody being required to report back to the workplace. And yet with all of that, are we going to get an update? I mean, and I don't know if it would be an update because we haven't gotten a full disclosure of the plan of how everything is going to run. But anyway, let's go ahead and if we can continue on that and look at some of the information that he released.
All right. So, of course, what they were discussing were the relevant factors for business openings. However, as you can see at the very bottom, education was never brought up. So I would still think that as a district / somewhat of a business, this would be taken into consideration. The state has divided the state into 22 hospital regions. And what they are doing is using numbers in those regions to rely on the information and the data coming from each one of those regions, and then decide what they're going to be doing in that region. So openings in certain areas will rely on hospitalizations of COVID patients. If there is 15% or more COVID hospitalizations, it's considered a danger zone, and the businesses will be kept at a 25% occupancy. When the hospital region is lower than 15% for 7 consecutive days, it would be considered safe to open, and they would be allowing to open to 75%, which they did that already in certain areas. But education was never brought up. So they have not given a capacity for education in any way. Although I would think that these numbers would be considered when we're opening the district. But as you can see, that's not the case. If we look at this chart right here, this is the chart with the 22 hospitalization regions, hospital regions, I'm sorry. And if you look at the very bottom right-hand corner, you will see the lower Rio Grande Valley. And we peaked at 74.3%. However, right now we have gone down to 18.7%. But as you can see, that is not below the danger zone. If you look at the numbers throughout the state, we are the third highest percentage of hospitalizations of COVID patients in the state of Texas. Not that that's not anything to be proud of, but at least we did drop quite a bit. So,
absolutely. And what do you think that's very interesting here? I know the top 3 that are still considered danger zones. One of them being Laredo, and it's interesting. And I wish this would be something that our administration would look into, because I reached out to Laredo because we have some locals there where TSTA is in Laredo and United, and they've already been back in the classroom. So they already have some students doing face-to-face instruction. They have staff at the campuses. So could that be why there is such a high number, and that is considered a danger zone? I mean, that is things that I wish Brownsville would get on top and would look at and research that. Because, I mean, for all the other areas, the other regions, how he classified them now, for the hospital regions to be so low in other areas, and according to him that they've seen quite a drop since July, but except for those 3 areas, I mean, you would want to look and make sure, what is it that they're doing, and what is it that everyone else is doing where they're getting better results, and let's learn from these people. But sometimes administration doesn't take into account these things, and that's very, very unfortunate. But what did you think about that, Frankie? Unmute. You're on mute.
So I apologize. One thing that rookie, I apologize. Rookie mistake. One thing I did notice was that we share the same demographics, similar demographics as Laredo. We are a border city, and we do have an influx of people coming and going between our neighboring country with Mexico. So that is something that I caught my attention. That there is that constant flow of people back and forth. And that could be the reasons why we are one of the 3 hotspots that Governor Abbott mentioned today. And just by looking at the numbers, guys, we have similar peak. If you look at us, we're at 74. Laredo was at 68. And now, Laredo's at 26.4. We're at 18.7. So again, we have a similar situation with Laredo. And Laredo at one point, I have friends in Laredo. Laredo at one point was very bad. Down here, similarly in the Rio Grande Valley, Hidalgo is having a tough time, and still today dealing with this COVID issue. I would like for our superintendent, our leadership, to actually be working with Austin. We heard previously how the board members, before they voted on that distant learning, spoke about how they had reached out to Senator Lucio, and they drafted a letter asking, for help. Because at the end of the day, guys, let's be honest. The reasons why we are this current board and this leadership is so adamant about going back is because of the finances. But I want to go even further. Remember back in July, that agenda item that specified that they will not go back into face-to-face instruction until it was scientifically safe? What happened?
Exactly.
What have we done from July to now mid-September? And I hate to sound so negative, but we have yet to bring in a medical professional. We have yet to have Ms. Ponce, the head nurse, a part of the task force, the COVID task force. How do we expect for us to be the safeguard, for us to be the leaders in a position that we're bound to send hundreds of people back into the brick and mortar schools if we do not get a medical opinion from them? So that causes concern for me. We have yet to see the demographics and work with our with administrators, with leaders in Laredo to see what they're doing, so we can compare our notes to see what we can be doing ourselves. But yet, one of the biggest things is that we were fighting with our city mayor and our county judge back in a couple months ago and saying, we don't have to listen to you, we'll listen to TEA, we'll listen to Austin. They're the ones that guide us, not here locally. That was exactly a slap in the face for our local leaders. And what happened now? Our governor is telling us it's not safe in the Rio Grande Valley. It is a hot spot. I have yet to hear from our superintendent for his response. What is he going to tell our community since our teachers are going back on Monday? That is of grave concern to me.
Absolutely. I'm sorry.
We also have to consider that we still are looking into coming into the numbers from Labor Day. We don't have that number yet. So that this 18.7 may go up.
Yes. Absolutely, especially because of we have the island close by and things like that, and we know how everybody went out there on the 3-day weekend. But it's interesting on what Frankie was mentioning about reaching out to these other districts. I would be reaching out to Houston ISD and Dallas, where their numbers have gone down quite a bit. Besides taking the safety plan from Houston, I would want to reach out and say, hey, obviously you guys are onto something. So how did you bring it down from a 29.1 to a 4.8? That's impressive. And learn from them and see what's going on. So we can start having, some positive changes in that. And then speaking about finances, that's funny how Frankie mentioned that. But the governor also did mention about everybody has to do their part and in prevention, how they mentioned. But in order to move to the next level, you're hurting your own businesses in your area because you're not letting them move to the next level. And you cannot move to the next level unless you have 7 consecutive days where the numbers will be below 15%. Yep. So does the superintendent realize that he is hurting our own area by not doing everything possible to take every preventive measure at the school district? That's my thing. We all know there is plenty of small businesses holding on by a thin thread and trying to survive this pandemic. And I just wish that he would look at that. And if we would do everything possible, then maybe we could move on to the next level. But it was kind of alarming that, they recognize that even at the state level that we're standing out as 3 out of the 22 regions as danger zones. And it's just so alarming and upsetting at the same time.
Ladies, I would dare say that back in March and April, this administration was adamant on returning back into the brick and mortar schools. Everything that they've done, guys, has been with the intention of coming back. There was talks about the hotspots not having enough, enough life to last more than a month, that the gigabytes was going to, eat up after a couple of weeks or after a certain amount of usages. The expired PPE, we go on and on. But very quickly, I want to talk about Rio Hondo, because one of the main factors of going back, we've heard lately, is finances. We do not want to lose money. Let's look at Rio Hondo very quickly. Rio Hondo ISD recently announced that they will be extending their distant learning, and they will be coming back to face-to-face, depending on how it goes, until late October. So if a small district like Rio Hondo, who is suffering financially, might I add, they're having their own financial problems within their district, have decided that the health of their community and their students and staff is more important right now than to be dealing with economics. So I think that's something that we should take into account. And it bothers me that it's always our smaller neighboring school districts that are putting the example for us when it should be the other way around.
I agree. And also do want to say, and I apologize because we didn't give Frankie the proper introduction, but I'm sure a lot of our people do know that the reason that Frankie Olivo is on our show today is because we are dedicating one show to each of our endorsed candidates. And Frankie Olivo being in place 2, he is the first candidate that will be with us. And we will be having one of the other candidates for the next few weeks. But that is why we have Mr. Frankie Olivo with us here tonight, because he is the official AOBE endorsed candidate for place 2. So sorry about that, Mr. Olivo.
No worries.
So we can continue. I apologize.
All right. So we've gone over that, the governor's press conference. Very alarming numbers. I wish it would be considered by our board, by our superintendent, by our commissioner of education, by TEA. It's very upsetting that TEA is making all these, or the commissioner are making all these decisions to push us back, yet they're all still working remotely. That's very, very upsetting and unfair. So, these numbers, we need to really look at that. But I hear you, Frankie, when you talk about the funding. However, I just wonder, PI is still, they're not going back. They're still going to be distance learning until it's safe. And they're our neighbors. They're also a small district. So it can be done. It just has to be done. You just have to be willing to stand up for your employees and make it so. Period.
I agree. And we've given the example of a superintendent in San Antonio. I forgot what I believe San Antonio had like 10 school districts.
The last name is Wood.
But he did make a statement stating that, hey, I'll see you in court. I am not going to be put in this predicament where y'all are threatening us by not giving us the finances, the funds available for us to operate. So he took it upon himself and said, you know what? I'm going against the machine, and I will dare say that it is more important for my community to be safe rather than me seek out the money and force these individuals. So it's very telling, and it all goes back to being in tune with our community. We have heard from the surveys from BISD that I want to dare say 30%, possibly even 27 to 30% have stated that they will be sending their kids back on into the brick and mortar schools. I have an example of a high school within our district of having an enrollment of 1,200 students. Well, they're only having 150, 175 students sign up to go back. So if we get that and see the big picture, the majority of our community does not want to go back. They feel that it's still not safe. So why in anybody's right mind would a superintendent be so adamant on sending people back? We have seen how individuals, employees, 5 or 6 employees have died from this virus. Last week, we had a special education student, a special needs student who passed away due to COVID. One life is one too many. And I hope that this administration, after hearing what the governor had to say about our area, will take proper action moving forward.
Yep.
Yes. So I don't know if you want to go over some of the comments.
Yes, I'm going to post some of them up. Go Frankie. Go Frankie. Texas RGV is a major hotspot, extremely contagious. Yes. It's very scary. Very scary. The logical, least hazardous thing to do is offsite and get those at-risk children Wi-Fi and equipment used to the abundance. In the rainy day funds, nurses are barely starting to not see solitary, aggravating, asphyxiating deaths slow down.
That's, yeah.
No child left behind. We shouldn't go back. No, we shouldn't go back. Extremely dangerous until we go lower on the numbers. Exactly. Hi, Ida. Laredo was granted another 4 weeks of distant learning. But what about us? Or did the district not even apply for 4 more weeks? Ms. Ida, do you have a comment on that?
On that, they did apply. Laredo did get the additional 4 weeks, but they have been open, so they have had some of the students there already in the classroom. On ours, we have asked for a copy of that waiver that was submitted. We have not received that. It is interesting that there's been several districts already that have received answer on that, and we have not. So I'm not saying that they're lying. I am not saying that they submitted it late. I am hoping they didn't miss the deadline, but it is interesting that some other districts have already received their approval on the waiver. So we have to wait and see. And it's really sad that it's to this point, you know what I mean? That we question everything that the district puts out, and or what they say, because they don't put out things in writing. So it's what they say verbally, and we have to question it, because you know we have seen, like we've mentioned before at the under public comments, that they've said they've ordered all of this equipment back since May and June, and yet it still hasn't been delivered, all of it. You know, it makes you wonder on their planning and things like that. So that's why we're at the point of where we question everything that they say. And that's not a way a district should be running. It's not during a pandemic where we need to have everybody together, working together as a team. And we have seen so much division in the district. You know, you're never going to have a district running, you know, perfectly and everything, and everyone is so happy. But we've just never seen this level of division in Brownsville.
This is so true.
And ladies, I think,
go ahead.
I apologize. I think we're at a point right now where, I hate to say it, but it's like there's no return. Since we're here, we should have done everything possible to make sure that we have all our T's crossed and our I's dotted, making sure on being prepared on sending back our employees and our students back. I have heard from our special services, our DIAGs, who have stated that they still do not have plexiglass at the different campuses that they have to go to, that they still have to carry around their equipment with them. You know, the nurses, one of the big things that we've been saying is the nurses still do not have the N95 masks. I think that's something that now they're trying to order because of our community's outrage of the nurses not having an essential item for them to go about their daily duties. And again, it's like you're paying a carpenter that you're not giving him nails and a hammer and you know and some plywood. It's those are necessities. Those are things that they need. So again, our district has failed us, unfortunately, because if we're not going to do distant learning, well, let's make sure that we have everything covered in regards to PPE, safety precaution, doing everything right, so we won't expose anybody. But again, our district keeps on fumbling, fumble after fumble. So I hate to say this, but there is no leadership. There was no leadership in allowing us to do distant learning, and there is no leadership in preparing us to go back into the brick and mortar school.
I have to agree on that.
How many of that 18% in the hospitals are people from Mexico? They are coming over here for medical treatment for COVID, so that shouldn't skew our actual numbers. Well, it really isn't skewing our actual numbers because we have a very high number of students that are going to be coming from Mexico anyway. So, you know, that it's not really a skewed number when we need to consider those as well. When we need to consider the students that come from across as well, it's appropriate. Go, Frankie. The health and safety of employees and students is so worth a fight. Well, we believe it is, Ms. Hernandez. We believe it is, and we have been nonstop. Not saying that they listen to us all the time, and we're not the most popular people, but we're not here for popularity. We're here for our members. So we agree with you 1,000,000%. It is worth the fight. Very worth the fight. We should be distance learning the entire first semester. Safety first. Teachers' lives matter. All teachers are working 110%. Ms. Ibarra, you are beyond correct. We have teachers working into the night, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to make sure everything's working and ready for the next day. Our day doesn't end when we clock out at 3:30 or 4. It doesn't end at that time. It's been an endless amount of work and dedication from all teachers and students. Learning is happening. Parents are involved, but we need support from our leadership, and that is very correct. You know, our kids are excited to log on with us because they haven't been able to communicate with people. So this is their time to see their friends and different things. But, you know, it's tough, you know, when you're not getting support from up top and being disrespected and demeaned, and you know it's tough. But you know what, we are BISD. This is our district and we need to take it back. How can they say no more than 10 people gathering, but they want us to open up the schools?
That's on one of the things that I did mention, and we're going to go into the soft opening because there's been a lot of concerns and questions in regards to that. So we'll go into that about the ratio and what they're looking at this point.
The superintendent's nose keeps growing with all the lies he's saying.
He needs a bigger mouth.
We should not go back just yet. January would be better to see where we stand with the virus. Agreed,
definitely.
I was told that I should pretty much be careful, not voice my opinion or comment like in Erasmo in social media because I can get in trouble.
That's your right.
That's our First Amendment, freedom of speech. You know, and how dare individuals try to take that away from us? And you know, that's going to be one of the things that I want to change once I'm on the board. The fear of retaliation, as we all know, BISD has the culture that if you stand up, if you are vocal about a certain issue, they will make sure that you know that you did wrong. And again, as a board member, I would welcome anybody who wants to criticize me, who wants to give me recommendations, who wants to make suggestions, because it's very important for us to learn from those individuals that are dealing hands-on, dealing with the students, you know, FNS workers, bus drivers. It is only fair to them for putting in the time to be able to criticize and make suggestions to how we as a board could better serve the district and our community. So that is one emphasis that I will make besides special education and giving a across the board compensation above market value for all employees would be to change the culture, change the mentality, change the morale at BISD. No more retaliation while on my watch.
Very
Good.
important that
We're
people
going to
do
be
that
looking
too.
forward to that and holding you accountable to that too.
Of
For
course.
sure. Everyone will have to take off their masks when they eat. How will children stay hydrated? Will they be allowed to drink from water fountains? What about going to the restroom? How will that be managed? So, okay, the water fountains, from what I understand, they're going to be closed. Um, I know they talked about, but there's a lot of things that are talked about at the board meetings that are not occurring. They talked about having the water machine where you can put your water bottle and it would fill your bottle. I don't know that that's happened yet. That was talked about. But the water fountains will not be open. There's no way they can be open. So I guess kids are going to have to bring their own drink water, or the district's going to have to. I don't know what's going to happen with the water and the staying hydrated. As far as the restroom goes, that's an excellent question, because somebody would probably have to be standing outside the door monitoring the bathroom. How are they going to manage that? I mean, that I guess depends on the principal or the amount of staff they have at a campus, who's available to do it. Um, I mean, all of these are great questions that we really don't have answers to. So,
Guys, and that's the thing. We are on the dot. We're Thursday, Friday. On Monday we go back. What direction have we given our teachers? There have been a lot more questions than answers, and one of my biggest things is we have some students, some parents that have been very adamant and vocal and have said, I will not send my kid back. So us as a district, we have to give guidance to our teachers, to our employees, to say how we're going to provide the instruction to those students who are at home while we do face to face. So again, there's a lot more questions than answers. I wish, and I've heard from several teachers that said, "Hey, we don't know how the 28th is going to go." I feel like if our district has been winging it, there has been no sign of being prepared. And again, we're talking about human beings. We're talking about their livelihoods. We shouldn't wing this. We should do everything possible. For God's sake, for heaven's sakes, an individual is getting paid almost as much as the president of the United States. I would want for him to be spending hours and hours working diligently with our local and municipal leaders, working tirelessly to figure out a way to make sure that our safety is our number one priority, and making sure that our employees are, have some sort of guidance moving forward. But again, Monday's around the corner. We have yet to hear from him regarding the governor's press conference. Let's hope, guys, that by tomorrow we hear something in regards to that.
I really hope so too. I mean, that's going to be interesting to see if it's going to change anything, because we still don't have all the details as far as how are these teachers and everybody that is reporting back to the workplace, how is the entire day going to carry out? And it's just unbelievable that here we are Thursday night and we still don't have all the details. And earlier, actually, that both Veronica and I spoke to Ruben Cortez, and I don't know if you want to mention a little bit about that of Veronica, of what he is doing on his part.
so yeah, Mr. Cortez has been writing to the governor, has been calling the governor. He's been writing to the commissioner of education, calling him on his personal cell phone to tell him after the press conference, this really needs to be considered when you're pushing districts for reopening. If these are districts that are in hotspots and the governor is not allowing for businesses to open, why are we pushing for schools to open? It doesn't make any sense. Of course, he hasn't gotten a response. Sounds familiar, Ida? But we appreciate that he's pushing so hard, because it's very difficult when you don't have the support of state officials to help you push through and get people to understand that this is a very, very dangerous situation. And
Yeah.
so we really appreciate Mr. Cortez for also, I mean, there's others that are doing the same, but he's always been a big advocate for public education. He's always been, he has his family. His wife works for the district. His kids are one are graduated from the district. The other three are students with the district, and he's not sending them back.
Yep.
They're staying home because there's too many questions that don't have an answer, and they're staying home.
Yeah.
So that's
I think.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think it's very telling whenever the governor of one of the largest states in our country did not mention education, did not mention on going back. But again, it all goes back to the same rhetoric that our president from several months back have made it clear that if you don't go back, we're not going to send you the funds. So it will go against their narrative to state that even though our area in particular, the Rio Grande Valley, is a hotspot, there was no mention. So I applaud Mr. Cortez. We have had him on we've had the pleasure of having Mr. Cortez on the show, also State Representative Eddie Lucio III, and previously on Brownsville Talk. And we have asked him the question of, would you be in favor of sending our students back into campuses? And both of them agreed, said, no, we will not do it until it's safe. And this all goes back, and I hate to repeat myself, it all goes back to that agenda item back in July when the board members unanimously voted that they would not go face to face until it is scientifically safe. Well, how do we know what's scientifically safe if we do not bring a scientist, if we do not bring a doctor, a pediatrician, a neurologist, some medical professional that's going to give us that scientific opinion? So it's kind of mind-boggling. It seems like if they're just doing a smoke and mirrors, like, oh yes, we won't go back until it's scientifically safe. Well, what are they basing their numbers on? Because the numbers that we just saw on the screen and heard from our governor earlier today, the Rio Grande Valley is bad. So again, what numbers are they basing themselves on? But again, how bad, guys? How bad would the district look if they take a step back and say, oh, you know what? We do need to go into distant learning full time. So it's a catch-22. They're already neck deep into this, and if they go back, there's going to be pandemonium from the teachers. Like, oh well, you already got me ready, and you know what I mean. So again, there's no empathy, there's no understanding. It's you got to go because you got to go, and that's it. So again, I'm very curious as to see how the district's going to respond after the governor's press conference earlier today.
And hopefully, you would think it would have been on the same day to have a response on that. But we really hope that it would be tomorrow to see if it's going to change anything about the soft opening. But I mean, because it was very alarming to find out that out of the 22 regions, we are one of 3 that is a danger zone. So that you would think would cause for them to want to let their employees know or reassure them that, you know what, we have your safety in mind here. We're listening, we're looking at that. And that's just not what they are seeing. And it's unfortunate. And it's heartbreaking to see that we're losing employees because of this. They're just leaving the profession because it's just too much. And I'm sorry, I blame it right from the top. And let me be clear on what I mean by the top, because last time they tried to say it was, oh, it's not the principal's fault. No, I'm not blaming principals. I'm not blaming administrators. I'm blaming Dr. Rene Gutierrez for his lack of leadership. And we'll go into that in a little bit. But as far as right now, what we know for the soft opening, I have asked, and we got some information in regards to because TEA has made it clear that they are not requiring the 10-to-1 ratio. Okay, they are not recommending that anymore. Okay, but that in Brownsville, according to administration, and I can say who I spoke to Dr. Trevino on this, with the numbers that they are looking at right now, they are going to have, they do not foresee anybody going over the 10-to-1 ratio because of the number of people that responded. So that is a good thing, okay? But, and we tell it like it is, okay? So that's good that we are gonna have that, but it's only because that's the amount of people that responded to the survey saying that, okay? They're looking at an average of maybe 4 students per classroom, if anything, but for sure maybe some in the secondary level, but that there would be maybe 1 or 2. They're not sure that might go over the 10-to-1, but they don't think that it will happen. But here's the thing. So we asked the question, why on earth would you require every single employee to report to the workplace, especially on a day when the governor has just spoken and said we are still now what they call a danger zone? So if we're trying to be in preventive mode and help to do our part, because we want to move our area, our city, our county to the next level so we can start to safely reopen, why would you call all these people that are basically, you're going to have some teachers sitting in an empty classroom? And it's very upsetting that that's what they're going to be doing. It makes absolutely no sense when the teachers have fully set up at home. They have everything. It's been working to the best of their abilities with what they have been given, because that also goes back to the district for not properly preparing the teachers and the students. But why would they require that? So that is one of the things that we are pushing for. And the answer was just, this is what the district has decided as of now. So we're going to continue to give pushback on that. And this is where we need our members to also reach out because as some of y'all might have seen at the school board meeting, Dr. Gutierrez said, oh, well, that's just one person complaining. And I think we've shown them differently with the petition of no confidence, which we will discuss in a little bit. But it makes it very clear that it's not just one person complaining. This is a serious issue that is going on in BISD, okay? And he still wants to stick to everybody's going to be back there no matter what. And it just makes no sense. So what do y'all think about that?
Go ahead, Frankie.
It's not like we got these the office of the governor got these numbers just right now. It's not like if they magically the Rio Grande Valley is a hotspot. We've known this from months back. So again, lack of communication. There has been no dialogue within our district, with our leadership, with Austin. I would have and don't get me wrong, I know Austin is busy right now from the pandemic. I'm sure their phones are blowing up like crazy. I understand that. But if maybe we had maybe a monthly conference with the governor's office, maybe, once a month, but once every other month, hey, what are your numbers? What do you suggest? What are your projections moving forward? How do you envision us in a couple months from now? Do you think it's safe? Hey, we have this plan. We're thinking about doing distant learning for the first 4 weeks. But then after that, let's work together. Oh, hey, well, once you have more data, can you give us a call? Can you send me an email? Where is our public information office? Where is the office of the superintendent? Why isn't there that constant dialogue with Austin? We're making it seem, and I hope the response is, well, we just heard the governor, earlier yesterday, Thursday afternoon say, hey, we're a hotspot, and we're kind of late in the game, and sorry. I hope that's not their answer, because what we should have done from day one is picked up the phone and said, once you get accurate numbers, call me, because I want to be monitoring this situation. Again, we are dealing with human beings' lives. It's not like if it's some money that we can get some other time. So that is what really bothers me, guys, that we have seen time and time again how there has not been that initiative to say, hey, help me. Hey, I need information. I need data. I do not want to put my community, our employees, our students at risk. What can be done? But obviously there is no guidance at the leadership level. So again, that's what we're dealing with at BISD.
Yeah. So
yes, very upsetting.
I always thought that we're being led by highly intellectual people when these very same people are leading the children and faculty into the fire of the coronavirus.
Absolutely.
I spent the month of July in Houston area with my girls. The Houston area has much lower numbers because the community is following safety precautions. I saw a big difference of the amount of people out and about over there than over here, and people wear their masks everywhere. I was truly shocked when I returned and saw the traffic, the amount of people without masks, etc., that is going on in our area. Yes, this is very true, and it is going to continue. And when they send us back to school, parents will send their kids without the mask. And since it's only recommended, there's nothing we can do. How sad is that? Obviously, our school board are not thinking about the safety of the children of Brownsville.
Well, and that's where it goes back to holding people accountable. We have to hold the superintendent accountable, which is why we have the petition with the vote of no confidence out there. We have to hold the current school board members accountable also for the decisions or lack of decisions that they're making. And this is a time where also you all the elected officials in every position everywhere, the decisions that they're making right now, just the fact that the governor makes a press conference and will talk about what's going to happen with the bars, with the gyms, and all of this.
Yep, but restaurant, bars, gyms. Yes, no important education.
The school districts. I mean, how is that? So that shows you, where his priorities are. Was it intentional? Could be, but we deserve better.
You have to think about it too. If I were the commissioner of education, I would want to be sitting there and I would want to know, what is it that you're expecting of the districts? What is it that you're expecting? What do these numbers say for education in Texas? What does it say for them? I would have called and said, I'm going to be there. And you all are going to say, these certain hotspots are going to be allowed to continue to work distance learning until their numbers are safe.
Exactly.
No, you're right. And one thing that I have been very vocal about is doing something, because I've gotten a lot of backlash for, back during the summer, preparing for the new school year, of saying, hey, let's not depend on Austin. Let's not depend on TEA. Let's do something now, because how the governor said, every area in Texas is different. What affects Amarillo is totally different how our border city of Brownsville, Texas is being affected. So I would have wanted for our district to have been more proactive regarding this, but we had a relaxed response to this. We said, oh, TEA will decide. Austin will decide. It's like we're throwing the buck on everybody else. Oh, they'll let us know what direction we go with. And look where we're at now. So again, it makes no sense to me how we expect our leadership to do everything possible when they haven't been putting in the work, when they haven't done everything in their capability to ensure the safety of everybody as a whole. Again, a smaller district such as PI, such as Rio Hondo, Will be extending Riondo more recently. Back on Monday, their board voted to extend the 4 weeks. So now they will be coming back. As of right now, they'll be monitoring the situation, but they'll be coming back to the brick and mortars late October. So they are buying themselves time. They have stated it's not safe. We care about our community. We'll be doing distant learning. And BISD, the governor says, hey, we're a hotspot. And Dr. Rene Gutierrez, see you guys on Monday.
Let's go.
Really? So
yeah,
it's unfortunate.
He's like, it's 5 o'clock. I gotta go. So, but wow.
How many infections does the school board need to see before they finally decide to go back to virtual? Get ready for the lawsuits. Yes, going back to school is dangerous. It can be fatal during this time. Yes, it can. Good point, Frankie. Yes, all next week, it will just be teachers. The classrooms are not set up. The technology is not set up to teach starting Monday on campus in an empty room. Very true. The people that have coronavirus are not going to admit that they have it. Those people will still go out in public until they get seriously ill and in turn spread the virus on purpose. And now here's what I'm going to tell you. A lot of times what we see in the school is parents send the students to the school sick, right? And so they give them Motrin, Tylenol, whatever in the morning. So the fever goes down by midday, the fever's back up, and then, you're having to call. Meanwhile, you've already exposed everybody at the campus that has been around or has been breathing the same air close by. We're going to see that. We're going to see that they're not going to admit that they're sick. They're still going to send their kids for whatever reason. And then we're all exposed. So then what happens? Ida, is the school going to shut down? Is everybody going to have to be quarantined for 14 days? And then we have to do distance learning for 14 days. And then parents are going to have to figure out what they're going to do with their kids because that was not in their plan. I mean, what is going to happen?
Well, I have verbal input because, of course, it's not in writing. But let me give you all the verbal answer that I got to that. Okay, so here's the situation. Apparently, the district reached out to a Dr. Rodriguez from the city. Okay, Art Rodriguez, is that correct? Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
So they reached out to get clarification on what they would consider a person being exposed to the virus. So that according to Dr. Rodriguez, but I haven't seen it in writing, okay? But according to Dr. Rodriguez, you are considered exposed if you have been speaking to a person who was positive for more than 15 consecutive minutes. So if you're talking to a person and it was only for 14 minutes or 13 minutes, and that person you later find out has coronavirus, you are not considered exposed. Only
Ida, let me ask you a question though. I'm not going to be standing with a timer while I'm speaking to people.
So
I'm not going to say, wait, let me clock you.
Exactly. But, and remember, do not shoot the messenger here. But I kind of like was taken back when I heard this, but I was like, so I said, if I talk to the person, so let's say, for example, you have your campus secretary who talks to a lot of people. And sometimes there's people back and forth and whatever and this and that. So you have your office staff that are there and can be together the entire day. But I wasn't talking to her face to face for 15 minutes because we were working at our desk. So are you going to tell me I was not exposed because my desk was more than 6 feet away from her? And that according to Dr. Rodriguez, which I this I just heard right before the show, I got that confirmation, and I want to clarify that, but that Dr. Rodriguez said it's only considered exposed if it was more than 15 minutes and they coughed or sneezed on you. I was like, whoa. I was like, okay. So That's what they're considering a exposure at the workplace. Okay, so just so you guys can be aware of that, because when they ask you, so if there's, let's go through some scenarios. So you report to work on Monday, right? And there has been Tuesday morning, you find out that there's an outbreak that the campus counselor came out positive, right? And they're going to ask you, did you talk to the campus counselor? Guys, if you felt that you talked to the campus counselor, say, yes, I spoke to her and I was there for about 30 minutes, okay? Do not say, they are doing a lousy job with the contact tracing, so that's on them, okay? So please, in order to keep everyone safe, you say you spoke to them. And when they ask you for how long, you say 30 minutes or so, because that is the only way that they're going to allow you to work remotely until you are cleared by your doctor. Okay. So,
let me ask you a question, Ida. So this expert, Dr. Rodriguez, what about this person who is positive, who has touched the clock-in machine, has touched the doorknobs to the restroom, has touched the doorknobs to the classroom, touched the door when walking in, touched the front table by the secretary? What happens then?
I asked that exact question. Well, not exact, but what about all of that? Because the counselor was around the campus, was at different places, and contaminated that area, wherever that person went to. Yes, but you were not at that area for more than 15 minutes.
So you have to have your hand on something for 15 minutes to be exposed?
That is what they're considering exposure. So you say, yes, I was there for 30 minutes. Okay. Wow. And it makes no sense to me. And again, here we are, though. They spoke to this Dr. Rodriguez today. Here we are, 2 days, guys, before we go back face to face. And we're barely getting clarification as to what is considered exposure. That doesn't sit right with me. But I'm just letting you know what they did say about that is, well, that's where washing your hands come into play. So you have to make sure to be washing your hands. So pretty much, I think everybody who is going to be at the campus is going to spend the entire day washing their hands. So because that's the only thing that is going to keep them safe. And so now that the campuses are going to be open, I just want to briefly cover the COVID leave, which is your Family First Coronavirus Response Act, because it did change some of the rules in that. Okay, so you can be aware of that. If the people who were going through the child care leave through that, which is 2/3 pay getting covered from that leave, okay? And just to let you know, they did try to change that, okay, guys? And that is something that we fought very hard behind the scenes, where they were going to take that away and make you exhaust all of your personal leave for you could use the 2/3 pay from the leave. So you still have that coverage. But now if your children are within the age range of school, meaning that they were already going to school, they were in kinder or whatever the case might be, up until 12th grade, since the schools are now going to be all officially open and you have the option to take your children there, you no longer qualify for the child care leave. You would have to have the children, a child below the age of 5. Okay, or not in school. So if they qualify in that way, you still qualify for the 2/3 pay, and you are not required to work. Okay, because according to them, as of right now, they are not going to allow anyone to work remotely starting Monday. Okay, so remember this, guys, as upsetting as this can be, these are the decisions coming from the top. So you all need to remember that. If you don't like the decisions coming from the top, we remember that in November, okay? Because the board has the authority to make those changes. So what do you all think about that?
It's scary for me because I think that a large majority of the students that did say they're going to go back are students of employees who may not have an option. You know, we have single mothers who don't have any childcare, so they're being forced to taking their students with them back to campus. It is not safe to go back. For us as a district, with $500 million resources at our disposal, are waiting for a couple days before we're set to go back to have some sort of guidance or suggestions from a medical professional is not acceptable. Why don't we have these individuals around the clock giving us constant recommendations and suggestions as to how we can tackle this novel virus? This is a virus that the doctors on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, are learning something new. So it's not like they're going to the book and saying, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this. It's constantly changing, guys. So again, we need to have individuals willing and able to tell this superintendent that you are failing this district. You need to shape up. You need to change your direction, because what you're leading to, you're leading for the city of Brownsville, for our district, to get from bad to worse. The flu season is right around the corner. Our medical professionals have stated that we are bound to have a second wave that might be even worse than the first. Again, it does not seem right for us to be forcing, and I use that word, forcing our employees, our district, back into the brick and mortar schools when it's still not safe. I wish we would have had a little bit more guidance. I wish we would have had a medical professional on our task force. I have yet to hear from Ms. Ponce. The only thing that I did hear was when she requested the N95 mask for our district to say, I'm sorry, you're not going to get them at this moment. So, and very quickly, one thing that I am very proud of is the community has come together and has provided Erasmo Castro with 900 N95 masks. They have given him 900 N95 masks. They're at his office. So any and all employees who does not feel safe with the Wrinkly Dinkley mask that the school provided to them, the $2 mask, Erasmo Castro's office is equipped with N95 masks. And we invite anybody, any employee of the district, to go and retrieve some, a couple, several, as many as you would like. What the district is not doing for you, we will provide. And I think that's very important. And I think that is why we need individuals who are in tune with our community, who are working, who have that constant dialogue. We don't have that with our current administration. We do not have that with our board members today. You don't have it with my opponents. Where are they? We have been at the forefront day in and day out for the inception of this COVID-19 virus. And it is one of my priorities to make sure once I'm on that board that nobody should be on the campuses. Not until our medical professionals tell us when it is safe. That is one of my priorities, the safety and well-being of the district and of our community as a whole.
Ida, this is an excellent question. If someone in the workplace gets COVID and whoever was exposed for the 15 minutes timed gets sent home, will they still get paid?
Okay. Here is the thing on that. And I did ask that because I know that is an issue that we're going to be seeing. We are already seeing it. Bottom line was she was going to get back to me tomorrow because she wasn't sure and she needed to get clarification on that. She said that if the area first, it was very very iffy. But if the area is closed down, so let's say, for example, you have the campus that you work at and it got infected, and we're having to close it down because it's going to be completely disinfected. And that's the thing, that it was sad to say that it's still clear that there's not clear set protocols that are going to be followed, because it should be. I mean, it's as simple as in the campus secretary is positive, was in this area, so the entire campus needs to be closed for disinfecting. And everybody, because at the beginning she said, well, everybody will then be working remotely, and we are not going to dock their days, because that is one thing that I wanted to make sure. I said that cannot go into their COVID leave, because they have their COVID leave of just 10 days. And once you exhaust your 10 days of COVID leave that don't come from your sick leave, then that's it. That's all that's in that response act. So so she says, well, no, if the school is closed down, they will be working remotely. We go back to working remotely. Okay. So I said, okay, so where do our custodians fall then into this? And that's where she said that she needed to get that clarification, because they're not going to be able to work remotely. So your teachers, your TAs can and will work remotely, but they're going to clarify as far as the other staff, what's going to happen to them if they're going to be docked, or if how they're going to be considered. I would bet on, and this is what we're pushing for, that they would have to be covered, because it is not their fault that they got sent home and they're waiting to get cleared from the doctor. Okay. But we won't have that until hopefully tomorrow when she gets back with me, as far as how that would go. But your teachers, your TAs, the people who can work remotely will be allowed to work remotely, because they were exposed and the place had to be closed due to.
And is that going to be the 14 days, Ida?
The 10 days from the COVID leave? No.
No. The 14 quarantine days.
Oh, it depends if you get your clearance before that, because sometimes now how they're coming up with the quicker test and stuff that most of the doctors have, you can return to the workplace as soon as you're cleared from your doctor.
Okay. Some employees can do their job from home, so why are they requiring everyone to go back to work to risk their health? Yes.
That's exactly our point, and that's exactly why we want you to reach out to the current school board members to let them know we're not all needed at the workplace. If the Rio Grande Valley is still a dangerous zone, as the governor said today, you need to call your local board members and say, why are they forcing us back to go sit in an empty classroom when we can work remotely? So that was the change on that one. And then just on clarification, I know Frankie mentioned about bringing your own children to the workplace. Just to clarify, that is only for the 21st and the 22nd that you're able to take your children to your workplace, okay? Mm-hmm. After that, you have to either they're going to continue with the distance learning, or they're going to go back to their campus. But you cannot continue after the 22nd to have your children with you at your campus if they don't belong there. So they're supposed to accommodate those children. So let's say, for example, you are a custodian at whatever campus it might be, right? So you can take your children there, and that they're asking the principals to work with those employees and set up a classroom where those children can be doing their instruction for distance learning. I think, again, we don't have all the details. I think it's going to create a little bit of issues, because who's going to be supervising these students? Are they just going to be in a classroom? But there wasn't answers for that yet. So
and that applies, Ida, like for example, myself, that I have a child that's in middle school, but I work at an elementary. He would be able to go with me to work, even though he doesn't attend my campus, but he is a BISD student.
Just on the 21st and 22nd.
Okay.
After that, he has to go to his campus or back home.
Got it.
Okay.
Saying we'll learn as we go is not a plan or an answer. It's a recipe for disaster. Always passing a buck. Mm-hmm. Exactly. With that being said about exposed, will parents be allowed to speak to the superintendent for only 10 minutes?
That's a good point. I would make my meetings go longer than that.
I doubt he'll accept the invitation, though.
The only reason that the super wants to open the schools is for the money. It's quite obvious that these people on the school board are not considering the safety of the children. A second wave, we might have a hurricane hit us this Monday.
That's true.
That
is true. We're also looking at that too.
Scary.
How did Rio Hondo get to extend their face-to-face and we haven't? That's a very good question, Ms. Ortega. Very good question.
To extend their face-to-face or their distance learning?
Their distant learning because their board members actually care and are leaders. They grab the bull by the horns. That's something that we need within our district. So yes, they did extend distant learning to late October. And again, the reasons why we've heard BISD is not doing it is because of finances. Look at Rio Hondo. They chose to overlook that. Health outweighs money. Unfortunately, that's not the case at our district.
David has a very good question there. If we get sick, can we still teach at home? I asked that question as well. This is the thing with that they're saying there's going to be absolutely no working remotely after Monday unless your campus is infected and it is closed down. Okay? So because of that, it's only going to be up until when, because they're looking at 3 to 4 days for disinfecting, depending how quick they can disinfect the campus and depending the area that was infected. So it's only going to be during that time. So it's going to be, I wish that they would sit down and talk to some of the teachers, because you're looking at, okay, I'm bringing all my setup to the campus now. Oh my gosh, there was a positive case, closed. Here we go, take everything back home. Okay, that's only going to be for 3 to 4 days max, depending on when it gets disinfected. And if you weren't exposed, you don't have to do the 14-day quarantine. So here we go back, take everything back. So it's not that easy, to be able to going back and forth. Okay, I'm set up to work remotely at home. Now I'm set up to work over here, back at the campus place. So the only time that you're going to be able to work remotely is if if your campus or workplace is closed down and you're able to work remotely, meaning the custodians are not going to be able to, the maintenance people are not going to be able to. It's only the people that can work remotely and do 100% of their job remotely. That is what was shared with me today, as far as who is working remotely and who is not. So
everybody in the school board is only thinking about themselves. They're not going to be in the front lines like the workers. They're all going to be in a safer place and doing their virtual meetings.
I agree.
So are you saying we have 10-day COVID leave plus our 10 days sick leave? And if so, which days get taken first and how long will we be given those 10 COVID days?
Okay, yes, you have 10 COVID days plus your sick leave from the district. The COVID days are what came from this Family First Coronavirus Response Act, okay, which expires as of right now. It still expires December 31st. It has not been extended yet, so we don't know if that's going to be extended or not. those you only get 10 days for the entire time. So if you used it back in March or April when it first started, then that's it. You don't get any additional days. So those 10 days you will have, and if it is due to coronavirus, those days can be used first. Okay. Other than that, if it's another illness, then of course you don't get those 10 days. Okay. So that's why it is important to monitor that and to see when there is school closures, or when you've been told to go home and quarantine, and because you were exposed and you were working remotely, you need to make sure that they did not code those as your COVID leave. Okay, because we've had some situations where that did happen and it had to be corrected. Okay, so it's very important to monitor that, because you don't want to lose those days. You also don't want to use them if you don't absolutely need them, because we don't know what's up ahead, and there could be another big spike, and God forbid you do get ill. Those 10 days are going to come in handy for that. So try to save those days. But yes, you get 10 additional days on top of your sick leave.
All right. So I'm going to put some of these questions up, and Mr. Olivo, I'm going to have you answer them, because Ida and I have been doing a lot of talking.
Sure.
And so we can give you a chance so that they can hear your opinions. Let me look at okay, what about this right here? I have heard that some schools are only closing down the wing that is infected and not the whole school. That is not safe at all. What is your opinion on that, Mr. Olivo?
It's unfortunate that we are not taking extra precautionary measures to ensure the safety of our employees. I heard about an incident recently, and I'll dare say the school. I might get in trouble for it. At Pace, we had a positive employee within the main office, and they sent everybody home. They had them clock out. They really didn't mention to them the reasons for being sent home early. Later, it came out that somebody did test positive. So administration did everything possible to keep it hush-hush, send everybody home, only to get an email at 8, 9 at night telling them that they could come back, that they disinfected the area, and for the employees to be back at 8 in the morning. It doesn't seem right to me to have a certain area closed off. We need to disinfect everything, because as we know, that person probably walked to the restroom. They probably walked to the other side of campus. So we shouldn't just isolate one area, preventing an outbreak and saying, oh, this person is mainly in this area. We're going to disinfect just this area and open up shop tomorrow morning. That doesn't seem right to me. We should close down the whole school. We shouldn't go back, period. But since we're already at this point in time with our school district, I would close down the whole school, and I would make sure that we just don't disinfect the surface. I want the whole building disinfected. We have spent I don't know how many thousands of dollars on these machines. McAllen ISD invested in air filters for every classroom to make sure that the air quality is safe in the building. What has our school district done? Nothing. I get the image of them just cleaning the surface with some wipes, spraying some Lysol, and then let's come back. So to that question, no, I would close down the whole building. I would want to make sure that the whole campus is disinfected thoroughly, in and out, because again, we're dealing with a serious virus. We have had 5-6 employees die. One special ed student from Porter High passed away. We are dealing with human lives. We should put a lot more emphasis into making safety a priority.
Let me ask you a question, Frankie. uh, Dr. Fauci stated, or how do you say his name? Fauci or whatever.
Oh, yeah, Fauci.
Yeah, Fauci. Um, Stated that we're looking at this pandemic possibly going into another year or two, right? As a board member, would you write a policy or would you support a policy that is uh, detailed as far as a protocol on how it is to be reported, on contact tracing, on disinfecting, who is to disinfect, what is to be used, how many days it's to be closed? What would you do as a board member to make sure there is policy in place that needs to be followed, of course, in writing, because everything right now is verbal? What would you do to make sure that that was I mean, ultimately it's the safety of the employees, right? But if nothing's in writing, then it didn't happen.
That's something that our district has not done. I would want a medical professional on our task force, create a task force of several doctors, local doctors within our area. We'll work hand in hand with our county and with our county judge and with our mayor. Contact tracing is of the utmost importance because we need to know where our individuals were, who they had contact with. We're dealing with students, we're dealing with families, with lives. So yes, I would be all in favor of having written policy that details thoroughly what the proper protocol is whenever we encounter a positive case within our local school, within our local school district. I want everybody from the top down to know the procedure, the proper procedure of how to deal with this novel virus. Right now, as I've stated over and over again, we're winging it. We're just saying, "Oh, well, let's see how it goes, guys." No, we need to have a thorough plan to make sure that everybody understands the proper safety procedure and proper protocols needed. I think that's something that our district has failed us. Again, working hand in hand with medical professionals, with our county judge and our emergency management team. Maybe we can create our own emergency management team. Again, we have the resources. So if we could do it at the county level, we could definitely do it at the district. And again, this is a new age. This is something very new to us. And I agree, Ms. Vero, we're going to be dealing with this virus for the near future. What's to say that this medicine that they're creating, this drug that they're creating, doesn't have the positive effect that we're all waiting for? We have to be proactive in this. So we need to create our own team that's going to be able to do the contact tracing, to make sure that everything is thoroughly examined, because we cannot let this get from bad to worse very quickly. So yes, I'm all in favor of having a policy in place for our whole district to know the proper procedures and proper protocols for us to take whenever we have one case in our school district occur.
So then you would listen to the concerns we would bring to you, because we have asked for some of those very things that you mentioned. And, it's not like it's, out of this world. A lot of this is common sense. And, I just don't understand how we're 6 months into this. 6 months already, and we still can't have all the protocols for when somebody is positive at the workplace. What is the process? So we can be consistent across the board, and we still are not there. We still don't know if the closure is going to be 1 day or 3 days or 4 days. We still don't know. We're barely confirming what is considered a positive exposure. I mean, that's sad. That is really sad. So, but those are good things to know.
Right, Ida, you're confirming that because you're calling. There's no way for me to look up in the district online for me to know what I'm supposed to do, what my school's supposed to do, what my administration's supposed to do. There's nowhere for me to reference and say, oh, okay, this is where it says. So it's great that you know that, but we've had a lot of calls of people that have been trying to call HR and there's no answer.
My question has been, where can I get that? Well, we don't have it out yet. So this is where I have to write my notes of when I'm talking to them. And I mean, this is what we get. And it's just like the teachers are getting it verbally only, so are we. And that's not a way to work. That is really sad.
It's very important for sorry about that. It's very important for our community to be up to date with the latest news going on. I got calls, messages, emails from concerned parents in regards to the hotspot, in regards to the new school year. They would call the main office and they would say, "We don't know. We'll get back to you. Call us back some other day." We need to do a better job of holding our superintendent accountable and having him have a weekly press conference. I would want it done in English and in Spanish. I want constant communication with our community to advise them of the happenings, because everything's changing, guys, from a day to day, week to week. So we need to be in tune with our community. And that's something that, Browns Will Talk, a podcast that I have the pleasure of being on, has done. We have been in tune with our community. We have been bringing the information to them because the district has failed us. So I think that's very important for our next board to have that connection with the community, that accessibility to our community. We have heard from time to time how people have reached out to board members, and they're nowhere to be found. Maybe because it's election season now, they're kind of a lot more open and willing to listen and return a phone call. But it's very important for a board member, your board member, to be accessible, to be at the forefront of all these major issues. But it starts with the board, but ultimately it ends with our superintendent. And we need to hold him accountable, and we need to have him out in public, not having his deputies talk for him. I want him to speak. I want him to be the one that gives us the directive to our community. I think that's very important.
Absolutely.
We agree with that, because it's been several times, even before the pandemic, that we've tried to meet with the superintendent, and we show up at the office and are told somebody just walked in, or he's not available, or whatever the case may be, and they send us to talk to Dr. Trevino. We have had great conversations with her. She listens to us. She explains to us sometimes what things can be changed, what can't be changed, the reason behind it. And we get that not everything can be changed or be, altered to what everybody wants. We understand that. But the fact that she does sit with us and communicate with us is great. Of course, that hasn't happened since this whole pandemic occurred, and we haven't been doing face-to-face meetings. But, we appreciate that she did sit with us. But it was never him, and it should be him, because he is the top. He just doesn't want to hear anything bad. He just wants to be told how good he's doing. And sometimes, as professionals, we have to be told what we're doing wrong so we can be better. That's the bottom line,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see if there's a question that's like a Frankie question.
Yeah, because Frankie has another show he has to go to.
Yes.
Time is very valuable, so we appreciate that you made time for us.
And anytime, ladies, I love what y'all are all about. You have, and I'm not just saying this just because I'm on here, but you guys have been, at the forefront when it came to the teachers' raises. Y'all were the ones that organized that rally outside the glass office. Teachers are very upset, and you were the only organization that really brought to light the dissatisfaction that our employees had or have still to this day with our current leadership. You all have been at the forefront at also this COVID issue. We cannot accept expired PPE. And that's something that you would think is common sense, right? But where are the other organizations? I haven't heard from them. They have applauded our superintendent and our school board. And that really bothers me, because we see what's going on and we still don't question them. I'm all for having a good relationship with our board members, but we should applaud them whenever they do right And we should also bring it up to their attention whenever they're failing the district. And that is something that they have failed to do. So I applaud you, ladies, for doing everything that you do. And hey, I value the invitation, and I will be here anytime. And anytime I am asked of my presence. It's an honor for me to be here.
I do have a question in reference to that. We do follow chain of command. We follow chain of command when we are calling for issues and concerns. However, when we do have to reach board members, what do you think is an appropriate amount of time to return a phone call or to return a text message? Because there are several who apparently the appropriate amount of time is never. But as a board member, what would be your time limit to get back to somebody who is calling you with a concern?
The only thing that I'll be doing is breathing, sleeping, BISD. So as long as I'm not sleeping or in the shower, I'll call you. I'll call you. I'll answer the phone call. I do understand that some board members may have families and may have emergencies from time to time, but I will always have my phone available. I can always be reached. I would make it a point to make sure that every call is answered, every message is returned, every email is responded to. I think that's what we need from a board member. And how much time, me personally, you would hear from me as soon as I'm available. Again, without me being asleep or in the shower, all is game. But I think we need that in our board members, for them to be accessible, for them to be willing and able to answer the community's concerns, the AOBE's concerns, because again, we're dealing with COVID. We're dealing with a very serious issue. And I'm all for going through the chain of command, but it's very important for our board members to be actively involved. And one thing I do want to make clear is I'm not in favor of micromanaging. I'm not in favor of that. I strongly feel that individuals, especially our superintendent, who makes close to $500,000, deserves the space. But at the same time, if an individual is not living up to my expectations, I will make sure that I will bring it up to his attention. So I will give him enough space up until he gives me reason not to. So I will make myself available. Again, I will sleep, eat, breathe, BISD. And again, I will return a phone call within minutes. I think that's only fair.
I think that's a great example of the fact that you respect the profession, and that you have compassion for what people are going through. It's not the case with all the board members. It is with some, and we appreciate those that do contact us and answer our calls. However, it's not the same with all. And so would you be willing to put into policy a time frame, say 48 hours of returning a phone call? And this policy would apply to the superintendent, to the deputies, to administration. Would you be in favor of applying or writing a policy that dictates a 48-hour response time?
Of course, 48 hours, 72 hours. Again, I think it's very important for us to have that communication with our community. And I go back to what I previously stated: dialogue, communication. If we have that constant communication, there will not be a need for you to be questioning, or for the community to be questioning on what's going to happen, or I have this concern. No, if we're all on the same page. And one thing that bothers me, guys, is that throughout the district, there is no uniformity. One AA is giving directives to a certain group of schools, while another AA is giving totally different directives to other schools. That's going to stop. I'm going to make sure, working with my colleagues on the board, that we're all on the same page. And that is through constant dialogue and constant communication. So yes, I would be all in favor of having some sort of policy that requires our leadership to respond back to our community within 48, 72 hours. But I do not want to get to that point. I want to be on the same page by having the use of our KBSD channel and having our superintendent give weekly press conferences, of keeping us up to date on all the latest issues that are transpiring in the city of Brownsville, and more importantly, for BISD.
And that I think, Ida, would be an amazing way to keep people informed. And with open communication, our questions could be answered through that platform, which would be available for everybody to listen to, and the information would be out for everybody. I
Yes.
think that's
Yes.
amazing.
Now, Frankie, why do you think that there's no consistency across the district? Like you mentioned, that you have one AA giving out certain information, and then the other AA giving out different information, even though they all fall under the same deputy superintendents and superintendent. Why do you think that there's no consistency?
It all starts at the top. Whenever we have a strong leader, somebody who gives direction with certainty, there is going to be no doubt in these AAs, and that's what we've been lacking. He depends on his two deputy superintendents to do the work for him. I want to hear it from him. I want him to grab the bull by the horns and take control of this leadership. It is spiraling out of control. There is dissatisfaction, and that's based on your petition. It is evident that there is dissatisfaction with our current leadership. So it all starts at the top, Miss Ida. It all starts at the top. We need a decisive leader to make sure that all the AAs, all the employees are on the same page. And obviously, that is something that we're lacking. So at the end of the day, it falls on him. It falls on our superintendent to make sure that he gives decisive direction for our district moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's a good thing that you brought up the petition, and we can go into that a little bit because I know we're running out of time. So have you had a chance to see the petition, or have you heard of the petition that AOBE has put out on Dr. Rene Gutierrez for a vote of no confidence?
It's all over the web. It's all over the news. It's everywhere. Of course, I've heard of this, and you know what? Good for our community, because again, there is that dissatisfaction, there is that confusion within our school district, and that's not acceptable. And you would think that during a time like this, these individuals who get paid handsomely would rise to the occasion and show us why they are worthy of their salaries. And again, I say this with all respect. Again, I respect authority. I respect Dr. Rene Gutierrez and his team. But you know, the petition speaks for itself. The signatures speak for itself. We have a group of individuals, not one or two, that are dissatisfied, according to his words, but a whole community that is dissatisfied with the actions of our administration. So I'm very aware of the petition. I am in full support of it. I want to hold our leaders accountable, because that is what is required of them. That is why we pay them with our taxpayer money, because they are in charge of one of the biggest districts south of San Antonio. And that only requires for us to get the very best from this man. And I feel that he has been lacking with this. So I'm well aware of this petition. I'm in full support. I wish that he would have a 180 and realize that he needs to do more for our district moving forward.
So is it safe to say that we can count on you supporting, and that you would ask your supporters to go and sign this petition if they have not done so? And if they have, for them to go ahead and forward it to other people. We need to continue to move on this, because of him simply saying that it was just one person complaining when we're over 1,100 signatures on this. So obviously there is a problem with that. And how you mentioned that you hope that he can do a 180. I'll be very honest. I don't think he can. I really don't think, and we've shared it with some of the news media, that unfortunately I don't think he's capable of running a district this size. You know, this pandemic is difficult enough, but he's not used to Brownsville, and his heart is not in it. So, you know, that's my opinion on it, of what I've seen of how he's done, you know, so far since he's been here. But if you were currently a board member, Frankie, and this petition was going on, and you saw that there's 1,100 signatures, and it's probably going to hit quite a bit more, especially now since you're going to push it a little bit more. But if with that amount of signatures, what would you do as a current board member? You know, and because we're going to take this petition to the current board, and so what would you do as a current board member if this was brought to you?
Well, first of all, it wouldn't have a need to be brought to me, because I would be dealing with this issues, bringing it up to light, being more vocal, as opposed to this current administration, who for time to time has been applauding the actions taken by our superintendent. But I would be very vocal. I would make sure that my colleagues on the board understand the importance, because 1,100 signatures is quite a bit. You know, that shows that our community wants change, is not pleased with the direction that the current board has been dealing with this COVID-19 pandemic. So I would bring it up to the attention. I would make sure that our superintendent does a better job of working with our community to address the different issues, because that is the role of a board member, to listen to the concerns of our community, to make sure that everything that transpires within the district is done according to the needs, wants of our community. And that's where I think that our district has failed us, because and it's unfortunate that it had to get to this point, because y'all have been at it. Y'all have been very vocal at public comments and stating everything that you've been stating in the petition. You have requested for a medical professional to be in the task force. You have been vocal about the expired PPEs. You have done everything possible to avoid this unfortunate situation. But look where we're at. But the board didn't do anything. The board keeps applauding our superintendent, and that does not sit well with me. So if I was a current board member, I would address the situation. I would say, hey, you need to do a better job. We need to be in tune with our community. I wouldn't have let it gotten to that point. I would have been more advocating for safety being our number one priority, for giving our employees a higher compensation above market value, making sure that we do not, and it's quite embarrassing, we do not have make a purchase order of over $2 million for expired PPEs. That's an embarrassment. And then for us to even issue them out to our employees is even worse. It's a slap in the face to our employees and to our district, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree. I think that there's no way that should have ever happened. I have another question. Let's say we had a superintendent that was open-minded and willing to receive input. Okay, let's say that Dr. Gutierrez was like that, and what would be something that you would give him as advice right now? What would you tell him if he was willing to listen to you and he was actually going to take your advice? Because he doesn't seem to take advice from anyone. But if he did, what would you tell him?
I would say that lives are at stake, that this is very serious. We have already lost 6 employees, one student's lives. On my watch, I would not have another one. I would not be able to live with myself that I, as a board member, could make this a better situation. I would tell him that we need to close shop, that whoever could work from home could do so. I will make sure that he requests 4 more weeks, such as PI, such as Rio Hondo, 4 more weeks of distant learning to avoid face-to-face. And if the situation gets better in mid-October, late October, well then, hey, maybe we'll come back. But I would advise him to close shop. I would advise him to bring on the medical experts, and not just a few days, how how you mentioned previously of him getting some suggestions from Dr. Arturo Rodriguez. I would make sure that we have medical professionals at our disposal, giving us constant information, constant suggestions on what we need to do, because leadership does not have medical degrees. They have doctoral in education. So it does not seem feasible for me to rely on individuals who are medical experts to make those very important decisions. So if I was a board member now and he would listen to me and I had his ear, I would say, you know what? One life is one too many. We need to close shop. We need to make sure that the safety and well-being of our community is our number one priority. And I will make sure that we ask for 4 more weeks, because to me, I'd rather see fight it in court than to risk the lives of our employees, of our students, and our community.
Great. Okay. So, well said.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go over any other questions before Mr.
I didn't see any that would be able to be addressed by him. They're more like questions for us. Like this is I got a mask that filters at 99.97%. Can I use it, or do I have to use the one I was given?
You're able to use whatever it is that you feel is safe. Of course, as long as it's appropriate and things like that. But yes, you can use your own mask. You could bring your own shields, whatever it is that helps you feel safer. Your own hand sanitizer and things like that. Absolutely, yes.
How can we organize to change that directive about no teacher working remotely from home? Can AOBE TSTA help with the survey questionnaire like it's been done for other concerns?
The first way to organize on this one is we have to continue to push forward on this petition of no confidence. We need to send a clear message to the current board of where we stand and how we do not believe the leadership of Dr. Gutierrez is good enough for Brownsville ISD. So we cannot stress it enough about increasing those numbers of signatures. Okay, that is the first step, because that is going to send a very strong message to this current board right now of how the community feels. And because of that, I mean, let me tell you, I mean, we've gotten a little bit more leeway with administration, nowhere where we need to be, believe me. And but as far as getting responses and things like that, but it's still not good enough. So we need to continue to push this petition, and we're fighting the not everybody returning back. So what we could do right now is we need each and every person that is on here. If you know any current school board member right now, you call them and you email them, you text them and say, we've seen the percentage. There's only 8,000 some students that are returning to face-to-face instruction. There is absolutely no need for us all to return back to the workplace. Not when the Rio Grande Valley is still a dangerous zone. According to Governor Abbott today, he says we are a dangerous zone. So why are we having to go sit in an empty classroom? So it absolutely makes no sense. So that's what we can do as of right now to take action. Okay.
If a campus closes and is an elementary or high school, does that school also stop serving food?
That's a very good question. That I do not have the answer to. By what it sounded like is it depends where the infection was, where the exposure was. But that's not, I'm not completely sure on that one.
Should we let students walk to their classes or stay in one class all day on their laptops, still getting virtual learning?
They didn't cover that with me. I believe they still haven't covered that with the campuses. And like I said, it's sad to say, we are now one day before they're returning to the classroom, and we still don't have clarification on that. There's a list of questions that we still don't have, guys.
That's one of them.
Yeah.
That's one of them. So I posted the link for the petition. So anybody on here who has not signed the petition already can sign.
Yes, please. And I think the only thing that we did not cover, or I think I saw a question on, was about FMLA. So
Oh yes,
you,
I'm going to that one.
okay, I saw something like that. You still, ladies, how does FMLA work? Okay, so your FMLA, you have your FMLA that is still through the Response Act. And what falls under there is if you don't have childcare for your children or somebody that you is a dependent of yours, okay? And they're not within the school age range. Okay, so if you have a newborn up to 4 years old and they are not enrolled in school, because you know how there is pre-K 3 and 4, if they're not enrolled, you can qualify for FMLA childcare leave. Okay, that is through the Response Act. That one you have to reach out to Monica de la Garza at Human Resources. You can send her an email, and you want to get the forms to qualify for that FMLA. That's through the Response Act, and it covers you at 2/3 of the pay from the act. It doesn't come out of your days. Okay, if you have days, you have the option to cover that other 1/3, so you get a full paycheck. Okay, that's if you have days. If you do not, then it's only going to be the 2/3 that's going to come from the act. Okay, so you would be on FMLA. You're not responsible for anything from work. Okay, but that's the current situation is that now it has to be a child that does not qualify to go to school. You know, because the school is officially open and available to you. If they're within that age range, they do not qualify. You do not qualify for FMLA. Now, if you have a medical issue, that's a different FMLA. That's not, they have that available also, but it would not be through the Response Act, and that falls under if you have days available and if you have not exceeded them already. Because remember, you only have 12 weeks of FMLA within 1 year. So if you took it in March, you do not qualify for another 12 weeks until March. Sorry. So I hope I answered all the questions there on FMLA. If not, you can message us or email us at the email below, the aobeadvocate@gmail.com.
Ida, this is a good question because I know we've gotten concerns about this, that they're being told, principals are saying that they're going to be putting teachers or paraprofessionals in charge of holding rooms of people who are infected. Can we refuse to be the teacher or paraprofessional in charge of the holding room, if any, with the infected students?
If they are infected students, guys, that is putting you at risk, and you do not have to follow that directive. Okay, because you are in risk. We've heard of this. They told us that they are not going to have infected rooms with students like that. The students should right away be quarantined and be picked up right away. Okay, so they shouldn't have a holding room where there's going to be several students like that. Okay, but if they're asking you to do that, please notify us right away, because you do have the option to not follow that directive. Okay, but you need to be very careful. I would send an email and right away to your immediate supervisor and say, I am not following this directive because my health is at stake here, and I do not have appropriate PPE available to me.
I think that was the last question, Ida. The rest they just look like comments.
Okay. So I think we are. I think we are done for now, and I'm so sorry, Frankie, that it took this long. And I know you have to go to your other show and prep for that one. So we'll let you close first, Frankie.
Again, thank you so much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. It's very important for our community to understand that they are, an organization that does care, that has been at the forefront of all these issues since the start of the pandemic. It's an honor for me to be here with you, amazing ladies. I thank you from from the behalf of our community for doing what you do. It's not easy. But it is in these times that we need individuals such as yourselves and your organization to stand up for what's right. Our district for far too long has not been adhering to the recommendations and concerns of our community. I'm hopeful that once elected, I will be that change that we need within our district. So thank you once again for the invitation. I hope this is one of many appearances that I have on your show. And the time flew. I had so much fun. So thank you so much, ladies, for your time. It's always awesome to see y'all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll go ahead and let you know let you go because we know you have that other show to get ready for. Thank you so much. Good night, Frankie.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
Yeah,
so
I can't believe it's been 2 hours, Ida.
I know, right? So did we cover all the questions? If there's anything else, please go ahead and put it in the chat box, and that way we can address your question. But I think I covered as much as they have told me up to this point. Do all schools even have this isolation rooms ready to be able to be separated? Because it is on the protocol to have one. They do not. It's so sad to say, but we're not ready for Monday. The district is not ready, and all I can say is we need to continue to reach out to the current board members. They need to know that the district is not ready, guys. We can't do this alone. We make the phone calls. We do everything that we're doing. Dr. Gutierrez continues to tell them, "Oh, it's just us trying to cause trouble," but it's not. You need to let those board members know we have over 1,100 signatures and we're going to get many more. But we have 1,100 people right now saying that Dr. Gutierrez is not being a good leader here at BISD.
Isn't Judge Eddie Trevino have the final say when it comes to safety and reopening of the schools in Cameron County?
Well, that keeps going back and forth. It depends on the state, okay? So remember, all of these people are elected officials. All of these people are there because they have been voted in. So you have the opportunity to change that. And that's why these elections are very important. We need to stand up and take action. So if we do not like what we are seeing right now, if we feel that they do not value us, then we need to show them how we feel when it comes to voting. And we will vote these people out. We cannot forget what we're going through right now. We cannot forget. We need to remember and take that to the polls and vote these people out. And that's how we show them. You want to be disrespectful? We'll show you.
So I want to say a couple of things on the petition. You do have the option to sign the petition and for your name not to show, because I know there's a lot of people who are worried about their name being seen, and you don't have to leave a comment, so that you have the option for that. Number two, board members need to understand that these people signing the petitions, Ida, they're voters.
Exactly.
Those are votes that right now you may not have. And that number is going to increase. So if you go back and you look at the number of people who voted, we might be in trouble there. Yep.
That's what they need to look at. And that's why I'm saying we need to continue to push this. I mean, we're making news news across the state.
We are. Okay, Ida. we're making news across the state. Where we're getting calls from podcasts from stations that are also in Mexico. We're getting a lot of time, a lot of attention has come to this petition because it's not something that's done often, and it's a very bold move. But sometimes you have to be bold to make a change, and sometimes you have to be unpopular to make a change. And Ida and I are probably the least popular people in BISD, and that is okay. Our goal here is that people at the district are treated with respect. We will not tolerate disrespect or mockery or the lack of communication. We need to have, just like they hold their standards high for us as employees, we need to hold our standards high for our leaders. And if they can't meet that, well, then we need to find something else to replace it.
Absolutely.
So,
okay.
I don't think I see any other questions, Ida. They're just mainly comments. Yeah.
Okay. We thank you for all the positive comments. That's really good. We really do appreciate that. It's not easy, but we're going to continue to fight really hard for each and every one. And we appreciate your support in all of this.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all the signatures that we have received. Please sign and share it with your family. Share it with community members that you know. It's very important that the board and the superintendent understand that we are not going to stand for anything less than the best, and so it needs to be made clear to them. Thank you so much for your time. We will see you next Thursday. Next Thursday we have place. What place are we doing next week?
Place 5 will be
Place
next
5.
week,
Place
which
5
will be Mr. Erasmo Castro for next week.
And again, guys, we're going in order. So we're going in order by place. So
correct.
Place 5 is our next one.
That is correct. And if I may, just really quick, I want to clarify on 504s. I didn't get to touch on that. It has been a very long show, and I apologize. So I just want to make it clear what a 504 is compared to FMLA or your request to work remotely. A 504 is when the district can make accommodations for you, okay? If you have a medical issue. So let me explain. A medical issue is not something like fear of working or fear of returning to the workplace, okay? What can go under a 504 is you get the approval of your doctor saying, I cannot go to the workplace because I'm just going to make an example of this, okay? I'm not talking about a specific case. I'm just so you can get a clear picture of what qualifies for a 504. Let's say the person has issues with kidneys, okay, and has been diagnosed or just got diagnosed with possible kidney failure. Okay, there's different stages of kidney failure. So let's say you're at a stage 2 of kidney failure. Your doctor can say, my patient is a high risk patient and has stage 2 kidney failure, so is capable of working, but I cannot expose my patient in a public setting due to COVID. So we're asking for accommodations to be made. The accommodations being that they can work remotely, okay? Now, the district can only meet and approve those accommodations if it doesn't cause burden on the district. So, for example, if your job can be fully done at 100% from home remotely, then they can meet those accommodations, okay? But if your job cannot be done, such as a custodian, a maintenance person. They cannot do that. Then that causes a burden on the district, and they don't have to meet those accommodations. So if this is your situation, or other issues, like we have employees on dialysis, we have employees with severe asthma, things like that. And if your doctor is saying you cannot be exposed because your immune system has been compromised due to this diagnosis, but is capable of doing their work remotely, then that is something that we can move forward for a 504 hearing. Okay. But if your doctor just says you have anxiety or is fearful of work, that makes it a whole lot more difficult. If it's a diagnosed anxiety level, then we can see what we can do about that. But anxiety is mostly getting denied. Okay. So I just wanted to let you all know what we're looking at with that. Now, if you get a 504 hearing, please let me know. You let them know that your representative, you want your representative there at the hearing. We will set this hearing up virtually. If they don't give you enough time, it has to be rescheduled, because you have the right to have me there. Okay. I recommend, if this is your situation, do not have a hearing without me. Okay. Because I want to do everything possible for you to get accommodations if it's doable. But if it's not doable, I'm going to let you know, hey, this is a slim chance and this and that, we can go forward. Or I will even tell you, you know what, this one it's not going to work. This will not go. I don't want you to waste your time, or, you know, and I'll be real with you on that. But that is how the 504s are working. Okay. So if you have an existing 504 because of your diagnosis that you have, anything like that, they can do different accommodations, but it depends on what your job description is and what's required from you, and can they accommodate you to work remotely or in a safe environment. Sometimes what we can do is argue a point of, hey, they need to seclude you and not put you with other people then, if that's what is required. So we will try to do everything that we can for these accommodations and to have these 504 hearings. But these are your rights that you have, and we are not going to let them take that away from you. But I know there was some confusion as to what a 504 was and FMLA and working remotely. So that's the difference on that. Okay. But if you have questions, shoot us an email on that and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible on that. Mm-hmm. Okay. So sorry about throwing that in last minute, but
no, it's very important information and something that is current, that is happening to a lot of our members, because we're getting a lot of calls on that. So that's extremely important information to put out there. I just want to say, and I don't know if you have anything you want to close with.
That's it, guys. I know we are in difficult times right now. I know we're all scared. It's been very clear as to where the superintendent, where he stands on this and how he feels about it. So let's do our part to keep ourselves safe. I know there are some people that are at the point of just turning everything in because it's very stressful. Believe me, I've talked to a lot of people and stressed out and in tears and everything. But I really hope that you can hold on and take all precautions that you can. I know it's very scary, and I wish completely, 1,000% that we weren't in this situation with this district and this administration. But we're going to continue to fight for you guys. Like Vero mentioned, it's not about being popular or being liked. It's about doing right by our members. And we're going to continue to do that. We don't back down, and we're going to continue to fight for you guys. So please hang in there. Please stay safe, and God bless each and every one of you all.
Yes. I just want to say I appreciate all of you that have stuck in there with us these 2 hours to listen to the information that's been given, to listen to the candidate. We hope the next time we have a few more questions through from the audience, from our viewers. I do want to remind everybody to please make sure to do the 2020 census if you have not done so already. That money will come to our district and help with improved building improvements and different things. So please make sure that you've done it and make sure that you get your family members to do it as well. They are not looking at citizenship. They just want a count of people. So make sure that if you know somebody who's not a citizen and they're afraid to do it, help them do it. And I just want you guys to know that we are here for you. Our members, please contact us. I know we are getting bombarded with calls. We will get back to you as soon as we can. It is taking us a little bit longer than usual to call back people. We have a very long list of people to call on a daily basis. And since we are back at work already, I myself am a teacher, so my calls are starting after I clock out and after I finish paperwork and different things. Then I start making calls. So I apologize if it's taking us a little bit longer to get back to you, but please be patient with us. Send us a reminder. Let us know, hey, I called. Don't forget to call me back. We'll get back to you. We will get back to you. It's just taking a little bit longer than usual. But we appreciate everything that you all are doing to be ready for school for the students. And, BISD employees are amazing. We are the best of the best. So.
Absolutely. We are very blessed to have such wonderful people. Also, I know there's several people that have been asking on the application for our application. It is on our website, myaobe.com. At the bottom, you can click on the Join Us Today, and it's an electronic application. You just fill it out there, and it will process your membership. So it's very easy for that to be filled out. And also on that, when we do call you guys, we call from our phones, from our cell phones. So sometimes I know people don't recognize a number, but that's why sometimes when we return the calls, y'all don't answer, but it's because we're calling from our personal cell phones. So
yes. I actually posted the link, Ida, to our application in the chat.
Oh, okay.
I'm being asked for the email to contact us is aobeadvocate@gmail.com. It's right there at the bottom. Our website is www.myaobe.com. You can get all the information from there as well. You can send us an email from there as well. So like we said, guys, anything you all need, please feel free, our members, to contact us. We are dedicating our time to our members because we have a lot of things going on and concerns that are happening. So if you are not a member and would like to join, the link for the application is in the chat. And feel free to call us and let us know if you need anything. Thank you so much for all of the time that you've spent with us, and we look forward to seeing you guys next Thursday. Bye-bye. Good night.
Night.